Well, good morning. No, wait. Afternoon. Evening. Afternoon, evening, depending on where you are. How's it going? This is Dylan with Dylan Talks Tone. Today we are going to do our live Q&A. This is what we do every Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. And so I'm actually in Colorado Springs, Colorado right now. And it is 3 o'clock here. So having to reschedule my day a little bit to do it at the same time, but it's kind of worth it. So things are good. We're going to talk for those of you that are new to the channel who may have not seen the Thursday live stream before. We do every Thursday. We just do this basically a Q&A thing. It is mostly fueled by Patreon.com. A lot of people go over there and ask questions, and I get to those ones first, and then we have a couple that also came in over the interwebs also over the last week or so that I'm going to talk about. And then at the end of this live stream, we're going to give away a Telecaster pickup left over from one of our cool experiments. It actually works. It sounds really good. And I'm going to tell you about some of our plans that we've got with Texas Toast Guitars over the next week or so, and a couple of other projects and some other stuff that's going on here at Dylan Talks Tone. But first, before we do all of that, let's get into some of these questions. So the first question for today, let's see, somebody actually wanted to know where I was on Patreon. So if you look at that thumbnail for this video, that thumbnail is taken at the Garden of the Gods park, right like at the base of Pikes Peak in Colorado. So somebody asked that question. And then let's see, the next question is, so that's where I'm at this week. Nick says, I have a Strat that buzzes like crazy. He's talking about fret buzz. Past the 12th fret on the G, B, and the E strings. I took it to his shop, and the guy said he couldn't get it out. I've tried to file frets, adjust the truss rod, and raise the action. The G is adjusted all the way up on the bridge. What am I missing? Sounds to me, here's something I think you should check. I've had this happen before. First of all, you need to make sure that that neck is straight. So the way you would do that is you would take a straight edge, get one of those notched straight edges that's been machined, and put it on the neck and use the truss rod to adjust the neck so it's 100% flat, where you don't see any light under that straight edge, like all the way across. I'm talking about the fretboard, not the frets. And then try to determine if there is any twist in that neck at all. Because if it is just the top three strings, the G, B, and the E, the three highest strings, past the 12th fret, it's possible that you either have some fret problems, but if your fret guy is good and he says that that's okay, then chances are there's maybe a twist in it. The other thing that can happen, I've seen it before with bolt-on necks. You have screws that are too long. Believe it or not, I've actually seen them hit the back of a fret. So what I mean by that is you have a Strat and you have those 4 screws. I've seen the top ones, especially the 2 top ones. So if you're holding the guitar like this, the neck is going up, and you have those 4 screws. The 2 top ones, I've seen those actually hit the back of a fret before, or push up somehow on the neck in a lopsided way so that you end up with sort of a twist. If it's a bolt-on neck like that, then it's possible that he took the neck off to do the fret work, which a lot of people do. And if that's the case, you wouldn't notice it when you were working on it, and then you would put it back on the guitar, and then once you had it back on the guitar, you would have a fret buzz that then he would be like, oh crap, and then he would take it back off the guitar and he would check it, and there would be no fret buzz. The other thing is, make sure that your neck pocket is totally clean. Make sure that you don't have holes. So when we screw a neck on, we're screwing into the neck. Sometimes what can happen is the threads, as the screw goes into the neck, can pull on wood and pull threads backwards this way, if that makes sense. And it gives it a little lump in there, and it makes the neck fit funny. So make sure that all that stuff is flat. Those would be some things I would check that are kind of outside of normal fretwork questions, if that makes sense. You know, that's a possibility. So, yeah, because if you've had it to him a bunch of times and it's not right, I don't mean to ever talk down to anybody, but I would definitely say get a second opinion at this point if he's worked on it a few times and it's not quite right, you know. That would be a couple of things to check, you know. I hate to be, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news kind of guy, or, you know, say that the guy that you're using isn't good. But, you know, that's why we put more eyes on it. And I'm glad you asked the question, because if you have a couple of separate eyes on it, sometimes it helps, you know. And I'm not super fret work expert either. I decided this morning that I am going to do some videos about it, because everybody wants videos about fretwork. Everybody's been asking me, and I've always said that I was never going to do videos about fretwork because I'm not that fast or proficient at it. I mean, I'm good at it. I'm good at it enough to make my guitars good, you know, the ones we build here, but I'm not awesome at it. So, but I figured, you know what? I'll do it anyway. So those are coming. I don't know when, but those are coming. We're going to talk about video schedule a little bit later, because we've got some really amazing things happening. So we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Ivan asks, is there any benefit in using 1 megohm pots with regular humbuckers? When you use a 1 megohm pot as opposed to a 500K, you move everything up. So it's going to be really bright and crispy on the top, and the capacitor, well, the capacitor crossover frequency will still be the same, but the amount that it can bring it down is also going to change. So, I mean, I wouldn't do it because I don't think it needs it, but at the same time, don't let that stop you from trying it to see what happens with your particular guitar, because if you have really super kind of dull sounding pickups, it might help. Hang on, we got a super chat. Thank you, Jeff. Next week at Texas Toast is a perfect opportunity to do fret videos. Just saying. You know, Jeff, first of all, thank you for the super chat, and actually thank you for your continued support with those darn things. I do appreciate that very much. I had thought about it. I'm gonna kind of feel it out and see what's happening at Texas Toast next week and how busy we are, because we'll get into that in a minute, what that schedule looks like and what my goal is there when we go there. So I'm going to try to do some video content there and stuff. I just don't know exactly yet. So we'll get to that in just a few minutes. Yeah, awesome. So this 1 meg pot deal, you know, I feel like it's one of those things where, well, we're going to get into this actually right now. We're going to get into this right now, because a couple of questions after our pickup experiment at Odessa Pickups in Kansas came in And it was really funny. Which reminds me, at the end of this, for those of you that were late, we already gave away one of the pickups that we made during that experiment. That got shipped out today. So this one we're going to give away today at the end of this. And when we did this video and we did all these comparisons, right, and we wrote down the numbers, it was really, really funny how many people got in the comments and were like, you did the experiment wrong. You should have did it this way. You should have did it that way. It wasn't accurate enough. Maybe your meters weren't accurate enough, etc., 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 etc. And that is, we gave away number 2, I think, and we're giving away number 1 today. That is what we're going to talk about. And when it comes to like this 1 meg pot thing, this is where we're, you know. Somebody asked if you were lurking, hun. Dwayne Gay says, depending on how far into the weeds you'd want to take this, the idea that person X or person Y or machine X or machine Y are factors is perfectly testable. You wind a set with his machine, he winds a set with yours, you both wind a second set on a machine a different way, and then you have a third party arrange the test sessions without telling you which pickup is which, then you play a series of clips at random, telling the audience which came from what set, etc., etc. Maybe get a random person to wind a pickup. I mean, this is really getting into the weeds with this stuff. And I know that a lot of people like that. But the thing is, this gets so minute that there is a point of diminishing returns with any of this guitar stuff. If you have to sit there and listen, I mean, I have gotten people in my comments before and they're like, okay, I'm listening like this, and then I changed my headphones, and maybe you have the wrong kind of headphones, maybe blah, 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 blah. I mean, if you have to listen that hard, what are you even hearing? What are you even hearing? What is even the point of it? I mean, there are times when the most finely nuanced thing makes a massive difference. For example, the micron size of a metallic in auto paint. I have a lot of experience with this. If you take 2 silver colors and you put them next to each other, and the metallic is a couple of microns off from this one, then you put it in the sun. When you face from this way, it's going to look one color, and you face from this way, and it's going to look another color. When you look straight on, they're going to look the same. But when I'm sitting at a stoplight and I see that car across the street, that paint doesn't match and the fender looks funny. All down to a couple of microns of size of metallic in an automotive paint. It matters. Stuff matters. However, there's so much of this stuff that I think, and I know that people want me to make these videos and people want me to do that stuff, but it is, all it does is it just fuels more argument. So what would happen is I would make that video and then people would get in the comments again and say I did it wrong and say I would need to do it a different way. And we would just be going over and over and over. And to tell you the truth, if I did videos like that every week, I would probably have 100,000 subscribers already. But you know what? It is the most boring thing to talk about. What we're here to do is teach people how to make music and teach people how to make proper purchasing choices when, you know, they build guitars or when they have guitar projects. Doug, this brings me to another comment, and we're going to kind of dive into this just a little bit more. I mean, we're going to talk about Tonewood, so stay tuned. Doug says, you mentioned just trying things out. I couldn't agree more. But one thing you didn't mention is the pickups are only one part of the equation. Whether you agree that Tonewood makes a difference or not, the same pickup And two completely different guitars is going to sound different. Whether or not you agree with premium cables making a total difference, a 20-foot cable is going to suck out high end regardless of its cost. If you're starting out and you want to play metal and you want to try one of these amps versus one of those amps, like basically he's saying that all of these things do make a difference. They do. But this is one of those things where those diminishing return situations come into play. I have to answer another super chat. We drop what we're doing for those. Dylan, spill the beans. I got 20 bucks that says number 2 was yours. Am I right? I'll tell you what. For the rest, I know it's a super chat, and I know that you just did that, and I know that I probably should tell you just for that. Thank you. But let's do this. Everybody put in the comments what video or what pickup you thought was what. And at the end of this video, I will tell you when I give away that pickup right there. How about that? Just because I love you all. And well, they might know if somebody gets on YouTube afterwards once they get the pickups, because the pickups are labeled. So yeah, I told them this morning. I just told them that number 2 is the one we sent out this morning. So, okay. So getting into this whole deal, we talk about Tonewood, we talk about finished materials, we talk about people all go on and on about like an Explorer sounds different than a V because there's more wood behind the blah 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 blah. Okay, I 100% agree. This is what I'm gonna say. 100%. Everything that goes into the guitar affects the tone, except for what color it is and what color the pickguard is and what the screws are made out of, like pickguard screws and stuff. That stuff doesn't matter. But most of everything else, it possesses a percentage of influence over the guitar and the tone of the guitar. The problem is that people spend way too much time focusing on the wrong percentage. So, whether this pickup was made with my hand or somebody else's hand, and this pickup was, what did we say, like 0.14 difference in DC resistance, and it was 0.78 picofarads in capacitance. I mean, we're really parsing stuff out here where that doesn't matter. Now these are Alnico 3 magnets. Does that make a difference over an Alnico 5? Obviously it does. But what the problem is that things get so parsed out that it's like you lose the forest for the trees, you know what I mean? And so that's why one of the things we're trying to do with this channel is not focus so much on all these little tiny stupid things that don't really matter. Yeah, they matter. Everything matters. Does Tonewood matter? I mean, I'm going to be really careful how I say this. It is possible, and probable actually, that the density of a piece of wood, okay, that the density of a piece of wood could make a difference on the end result of a guitar tone, depending on how the density and weight of that piece of wood is engineered and incorporated into a particular design of guitar. It's possible that that could be, and it's very probable actually. Where you lose me is identifying a particular species of wood cut into a particular shape is going to sound a certain way in comparison to another species of wood cut into a slightly different shape, and then all of a sudden we are literally like blowing each other's minds on the internet for decades over this, right? When in reality, I can take 5 different species of wood. I can find pieces of 5 different species of wood that all have a comparable density and a comparable weight. And then I can build them into guitars and they can all sound similar, even though they are 5 different, wildly different pieces of wood from different parts of the earth. And I know that 100% to be true because that is something that I have done and I've experimented with. So it's just really interesting how far into the weeds people really, really want to go with all this stuff. And I don't, what I want to do is spend more time on other stuff. So that's why we're going to talk more about people. Anyway, I want to share that with you today because that's where all this stuff is going. Like every time, and again, if I made these videos, I probably could have 100,000 subscribers tomorrow. If I did a 10 video series on how Tonewood matters, I would probably, but here's the problem with doing it. I would have to literally piss off 50% of the world to get those. And that is not how I want to, what I want to be known for, right? So very interesting stuff. Wait, we're talking Tonewood. It's like people, I'm a cyclist, you know, and it's like people that'll spend like $290 on a bicycle saddle, you know, the seat, so that they can save like 15 grams, or tell their friends that they saved 15 grams and like just don't eat a cheeseburger that day and you saved yourself 200 and something dollars and 15 grams. You know what I mean? So, and I know people say like, don't worry about the haters, but it's not about the haters. I don't care about that. This is me sharing with you why we do what we do here. That's really all it is. It's just sharing that direction. So let's talk more about that. So first of all, let me just show you something fun. People keep asking about this, and people keep asking me about it over the last couple weeks, and somebody asked me about it the other day. What about the belt sander race? So this is my RC car. It's actually broken right now. The pitman arm is stripped out, so I have to, as soon as we're done here, I have to go to a hobby shop and pick up a new pitman arm for it. A steering servo horn is what they call it in RC world, but it's the pitman arm. So I need to get a new one of those because this one's stripped out. But I'm all ready. This is what I'm going to use to race Matt's belt sander at Texas Toast Guitars. I'll have to get a new body pin too while I'm there. So this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to race Texas Toast Guitars belt sander with. And for those of you that are not familiar, I will be at Texas Toast Guitars in Denver. We go up there Sunday. I will be on, we're going to do Sunday night, we're going to do another like double live video where it's live on my channel and live on his channel, and we're going to talk about the week. One of the things we're going to talk about the week is on the 6th of July, which is next Monday, we're going to have a course. It's going to probably be about an hour and a half with questions. It'll end up being 2 hours probably. And we're going to talk about more about like that question that we had earlier, 1,000 meg or 1,000K pots versus 500K pots versus 250K pots. We're going to talk all about how we make these choices and how we put these guitars together. So if you have a guitar project that you're working on right now, let's say you got a Squire Strat that you're building up and wanting to make pickup choices and pot choices and cap choices and all that, we're going to get really, really in depth on how the capacitor and tone circuit works. And we're going to try to put it in terms where if you've never heard this stuff before, you'll have a firm grasp of it in a couple of hours. We are also going to provide some resources after the class is over. I'm going to do kind of like what we do on our Patreon classes. So for those of you that have participated in our Patreon, patreon.com/DylanTalksTone, we do this once a month class deal over there. And then after the class is over, then I email everybody like all the pictures and diagrams and all that kind of stuff. Matsako Guitars sent me a super chat. Thank you so much, sir. Dylan, I don't have a question, but you have helped me so much. Acoustics are my thing, but I've gained so much confidence in electrics thanks to you. Dude, thanks. I really appreciate that. And thank you for the super chat. That is amazing. I have been spending more time, or trying to move towards spending more time with acoustic stuff. You know, it's really awesome. Okay, so that's what we're going to do on that. That's what we're going to do on that first class. Okay, so we're really going to dive into capacitors, pots, pot design, all that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to have hopefully all the wiring diagrams. I'm going to provide some basic wiring diagrams, 3-way, 4-way on a Tele, 5-way on a Strat, maybe some Les Paul stuff. I'm going to put together some wiring diagrams. So whoever takes that class, is going to end up with all those resources as well. On Tuesday the 7th, we're going to have a pickup winding class. This is something I've never done before. I'm really excited. Yeah, Driddle, you're going to actually be on location Tuesday, right? So that's really freaking cool. You can't share links in a chat?
I can.
What do you need to share? Oh, I can do that. So yeah, man, we're gonna make pickups. Doc, I'm gonna get to your super chat in just a second. Yeah, man, we're gonna make pickups, and we're gonna bring. I spelled it wrong. I spelled my own website wrong. Holy smokes.
You just said that example the other day too. Talks ton.
Dylan talks ton. Sorry, I'm all distracted. You know, I don't get very many super chats, and lately we've been getting them, and I was literally like, holy smokes, man. Took me back. I was like, oh, thank you so much for the super chat. We're gonna wind pickups. I'm gonna bring wire. I'm gonna bring a machine. Even though you're not in person, if you're just watching it on the internet, I still think it is going to be so hilarious, because I know that there's going to be some people that are going to sit down and be like, oh yeah, man, I could totally do this. And then other people are going to just tangle up wire, and we're going to have to start over. Like, it is going to be hilarious and fun and amazing. So I'm super excited about that. Beyond just actually doing it, we're going to get into wire types, wire choice, magnets, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to bring a bunch of parts. It's going to be really super fun. So, Doc, if we all spent more time learning to play, this is super chat, learning to play better, instead of spending time worrying about the minutia of guitar construction, the minutia would be much less important. Use quality, but there's no substitute for skill. You know, I definitely have to agree with that. I mean, when you think about, and I say this all the time. I say it all the time. Your hand's interaction with the guitar is number one. Number one. You don't care about anything else after that. I think, so if we're doing a percentage, Scott Wilcox, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. I see you didn't have a question there, but if you do, oh, you do. Okay. Scott does have a question. Dylan, how can we check caps to make sure that they are wired correctly without foil to ground besides using an oscilloscope? You know, most of the time that doesn't matter in a guitar as long as you use a good quality cap. If you use a really cheap cap but I don't know. It's so hard to even get these anymore. I mean, if you're picking something out, um, if you're picking something out of a drawer that you've had for like 40 years, then it kind of matters. But if you bought a cap like off of Amazon right now, even a super cheap one, um, it's not going to matter. Is basically what I'm going to tell you. It's not going to matter. Electrolytics obviously matters, but you know, most of your paper and oil caps, your and I know that there's going to be some super duper duper nerd on the internet, because there always is, just like we are just talking about, that's going to say I'm wrong on that. But I would give you your super chat money back if you could tell the difference in the tone. I mean, it's literally that. It's crazy. It doesn't make that much difference. Ooh! I have to reinstate my Hulu subscription before Sunday because of the F1. And then I'm going to be in Colorado all next week. So here's what I would ask you. If you put it in the comments of this video, not in the chat, like later on when we're done, put it in the comments of this video. Let me know if there is something that you cannot, that you want me to see, or you want to see, or you want me to do, or focus on, or shoot a video about, because I'm not normally in like a full shop like that, right? Like I don't normally have access to that stuff. So if you want to ask a particular question, maybe it's how does a guitar builder route this sort of thing? How do they shape the neck? How do they hammer in a fret? Whatever. It doesn't matter. Put that in the comments of this video, and I will see what I can do to include that in our content next week, because I'm going to be in that shop all week. Now, he's going to be doing classes all week, so I'm not sure how much I'll be able to do, but please do that, because I'd love to get your input on what you'd like to see. Jeff Childs sent another super chat. He says, Doc is working with some serious super chat cash. I can't compete with that. But is the class going to be Zoom or YouTube like Texas Toast classes are? Texas Toast is handling all of the class stuff. So the link to it is in the description of this video so that you can enroll. It's not expensive. It is not expensive at all. Here is the link. If you want to enroll in that thing, it's not expensive. So I'm super excited about all of that. It's going to be really fun. I guess what we should do, Kenneth Crickmore, shoot me an email. Go to Dylan Talks Tone and go to the contact form and send in your contact information, like your address and stuff, because I'm going to send you this pickup. You've been here since the beginning of the chat, hanging out the whole time. You're still here. So, you know, yeah. Awesome. Because he just said something like a couple seconds ago. Kenneth Crickmore. So, yeah. So, what I'm going to do real quick. Oh, Jeff Childs, I'm way ahead of you. I've been signed up for over a week. Awesome, dude. Thanks for the super chat as well. I'm going to just run through here real quick. You know, that's why these super chats are helpful, because I can't actually get to all this stuff. But let me just run through and see if there's a question or two that I can answer in here. And then I'm going to tell you whose pickup was who. How about that? And everybody's going to be like, I knew it. And some people, I'm going to go back in the comments and be like, nuh-uh, you said something the opposite. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So this is one I asked. Number 1 was Dylan. Number 2 is Dylan. Number 1 was Dylan. Number 2 is Dylan. Number 2 is Dylan. Number 2 is Dylan. Number 1 was Dylan. Number 1 was Dylan. Number 2 is Dylan. Number 2 is Dylan. Number 2 was Dylan. Number 2 was Dylan. Number 1 was Dylan. I think the majority on this thread think number 2 was mine. I'm going to say, for the most...
Jeff say?
What did Jeff say?
Yeah, what did he think when he said my money's on something?
Oh, hang on. Let me go back. Let's see. I got to go back and look at the earlier super chat. There he is.
Number 2.
He is wrong.
Oh.
So, most everybody's saying number 2 is mine on this thread, and you would be wrong. Number 1 was mine, and we're going to talk about real quickly why. I even knew it before I knew it when I was playing it. And so whoever wins, or actually he already won, Kenneth Crickmore, this is mine. This is the one I built. And what's really funny about this is it's kind of irrelevant because I don't actually make this pickup. I don't make an Alnico 3 pickup at all, and I don't make them with copper-plated steel base plates. I use regular steel base plates, which doesn't matter either. But
We get limited edition.
yeah,
Special edition.
maybe I should just start making it and call it the number 2.
Oh my gosh.
I mean the number 1. I should just call it the number 1.
Number 2 is funnier.
Number 2 is funnier. So, okay. Mine had lower resistance. It had lower inductance. And for some reason, it had higher capacitance. And I don't understand why. Because usually, okay, so now that you know whose is whose, you could probably guess that that would make sense. Because I really, really talk all the time about the fact that I like clarity in my pickups. And I didn't have a tone knob to play with or anything. It was literally just a volume knob. I love clarity. As a result, I have gotten in the habit of, and you could almost say, and I know this is in my hands, this has nothing to do with the equipment, that has nothing to do with anything. I make a baggier pickup. What I mean by that is, when I wind a pickup, the coil wire is not as tight around the bobbin as the next guy. So I knew, as soon as I played it, which one was mine. And I also knew, after we measured it, which one was mine, because the resistance was lower because I didn't stretch the wire as much, and the inductance was lower because it was a baggier wind. It was messier. What's weird is why the capacitance wasn't lower, because those two things end up being the same. So I'm not really sure why that happened. But it is what it is. Super, super fun stuff. Yeah, super fun. Jeff Childs with another super chat. Ah, damn, my dreams are shattered. I'm surprised it was not your normal equipment. I would not have expected you to get the usual clarity. And here's why I know I could get it. Is because his machine had a very powerful motor in it. My machine, actually, I use a 12-volt direct drive motor. He used a DC motor as well, but it was a lot more current. And he uses an AC with a DC converter to a DC motor to a belt to a jack shaft. So the motor's down here, there's a belt, and then a jack shaft up here, and that's what the thing spins on. My machine is a 12-volt DC motor. You could pretty much get them anywhere, and it's direct drive. So the shaft of the motor comes through the side of the winding machine, and my pickup literally sits right on the shaft. There's no belt. So when I wind, I'm literally dragging on the motor when I add tension. So when I wound on his machine, I could not do that. So I had to wind at a slower speed and intentionally keep my tension lower Number one, because I didn't want to break a wire and be super embarrassed, because that happened one time and I didn't want it to happen twice. And because his machine wound at such a high speed that I slowed it down to wind at a similar speed to mine so that I could get the same feel in the wire that I am used to. So I knew I was going to get something that sounded like me, but I didn't know what it was going to sound like because we picked that wind count literally out of the blue. And we picked the magnets and everything literally out of the blue. Neither of us like make that pickup. We just said, let's just pick something random. I actually let him pick it. Let's just pick something random. But that's why it sort of worked out the way it worked out. What an interesting thing to do. That is years I've been wanting to do that experiment. So I'm going to tell you what I think. I love the way my pickups sound, obviously. And it was very hard to tell. There was a couple of problems in the recording setup with that, just because I didn't have the normal time that I normally have into being able to record that stuff and set it up correctly and all that. Yes, these are pickups I could decide to make. Yes. So, it was harder to tell in the difference was more pronounced actually in person than it was in the recording. But I did not dislike either pickups. And I don't know if you noticed, Leslie noticed immediately that I played the second one with the drive for a long time. In fact, I went back and played it again after that. I really, really liked the driven tone that came from his pickup. I did not dislike mine, but I really liked his. It was like just a different flavor, you know? And I think that is the other thing about all this guitar stuff that I think people put way too much time in, is that it is not a this versus that thing. It is not a my pickup or his pickup. It is, you have to have both of them. Like, you know, you don't neglect one flavor of ice cream for another. That's very, very boring. You know, you buy two. And on Thursday night you have one flavor, and on Friday night you have another flavor. Or beer, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. At least that's the way I live my life. We have a variety pack of beer in there from somewhere, Boulder, Colorado or somewhere, because we want more than one flavor and to try it all, you know? And that to me is what this is about. So it's not a right or wrong about how it was wound or what magnet choice it was or the wire diameter or the material of the wire insulation or any of that stuff. Is the flavor one you like? If it is, then buy it. If it's not, then that's okay too. And there is also no reason to really push one flavor based on some kind of tradition or something. Ivan Shank comes in with a super chat saying, have Matt and Chris wind one pickup a piece.
Matt said he's done it before.
Yeah, Matt said he's done it before. I don't know if Chris has done it before. I don't think they liked to do it. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Could you have changed the tension to make the pickup sound more like number two? Okay, so here's a really interesting thing. This is what makes pickup builders different than another. I could make my pickup sound like his, but winding tension is not the way I would do it. I would do it differently. I would change the wind count. That's how I would do it. So it's just different recipes to get to different results. So I would just do it a different way. Yeah, I would not wind with more tension because I don't like the sound that gives me overall, but I think I could get closer to what he was doing by doing something different. But those are things I don't talk a whole lot about because if I was going to do it, I wouldn't tell anybody how I did it. That's the one thing I won't. I have a notebook in a backpack somewhere around here that literally has, this is how many winds, this is what it is, this is scatters per, this is wines per layer, these magnets, etc., etc., etc. And that's how I do that. And I keep that, and you'll never see that. Nobody will ever see that. So I don't talk about those numbers. AZ Baba Booey says, I guessed wrong, have a beer on me during the F1 race. Thanks for the super chat, dude. I will have a beer, and I will think of you during the F1 race. Hopefully, I will get to see it, because we have to move on Sunday, so it's going to be a whole... So don't tell me who wins. Nobody tell me who wins. Don't spoil that for me. You guys, this has been super fun. Thanks for hanging out. We will see you on Sunday night. I probably will not upload a video tomorrow. Leslie has the day off because it's a holiday weekend. So we're going to go drive up Pikes Peak. We are going to go... We'll have some cool videos Sunday night on Music and Mascara, probably. Some scenic stuff on our other YouTube channel. So watch out for that. I'll put it in the little feed on our YouTube channel. And yeah, man. Thanks everybody for the questions that you sent in this week. Thank you everybody for the super chats that you shared this week. Thanks everybody for watching and being a part of what we do. And I'm excited to send this to you. Mr. Crickmore, Thomas Geist, thank you so much for that last minute super chat squeezed in there. I do appreciate it very, very much. Jeff Childs, Dylan knows what I'm talking about, but my theory worked finally. Yeah, it sure did. No, this is super fun, and I'm excited. And and the other thing is, we got more pickups to give away. I got five lace illumitones. So we're gonna have a video about lace illumitones coming up, and we're gonna give away 2 pairs of lace illumitones. 2 pairs, not just one. Downside is they're all gold, but lace illumitones, pretty awesome. You guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out. We will see you Sunday from Denver, Colorado at Texas Toast Guitars. I hope you can tune in then. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We'll see y'all.